Welcome to Unwise Girls, a Percy Jackson reread podcast. I'm your host Jane, and this is your co-host Jacqueline.
I'm Jacqueline. How you doing today, Jane?
I'm stressed. We were working through some of my audio issues before the show.
Yeah, I am personally. We're gonna have to speedrun this one, which is fine.
A little bit.
So it might be it might be a little bit shorter than usual. So how about we jump right into the chapter summaries for this week?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Chapter 9, I am offered a quest. Percy's moved from cabin 11 to cabin 3, Poseidon's cabin, where he's now miserable, especially after someone sneaks a newspaper into his room that says he and his mom are officially missing, and Gabe is telling the press that Percy may have been at fault. Grover calls Percy to a meeting with Chiron, who tells Percy that there is a brewing war between Poseidon and Zeus over the theft of Zeus's master lightning bolt, and Zeus thinks Percy, son of Poseidon, is the culprit. Percy is sent into the attic where he receives a prophecy from the scary mummy, Oracle of Delphi, which goes as such. You shall go west and face the god who has turned. You shall find what was stolen and see it safely returned. You shall be betrayed by one who calls you a friend, and he shall fail to save what matters most in the end. Percy goes back to Chiron, who tells him Hades is probably the real culprit and the one sending monsters at Percy. However, only a mortal hero can confront Hades, and so Percy, Grover, and Annabeth are given a quest to travel to the Underworld's entrance in LA, retrieve the Master Bolt, and return to Olympus within 10 days, before the deadline of the summer solstice. And all without being able to fly! Chapter 10, I Ruin a Perfectly Good Bus. After getting their supplies, the quest gang has a farewell with Luke and Chiron at the top of Half-Blood Hill, next to the Thalia tree, where Luke gives them flying Hermes sandals and Chiron gives Percy the pin he killed Mrs. Dodds with, a Knacklesmos, or Riptide, a sword gifted by Poseidon that is made of celestial bronze, so it can only hurt monsters. Before they leave, Chiron tells Percy about how there's like a mist that makes it so mortals can't see mythological things, and about the time before the gods, the Golden Age when Kronos ruled and mortals lived in terror, and how the Titans still live imprisoned. The gang is driven by Argus, the camp guard, to the bus terminal, and on the way, Annabeth and Percy talk about the ancient rivalry between Poseidon and Athena, and Grover tells Percy that Sally married Gabe because Gabe carries a human stench powerful enough to mask Percy's big 3 demigods stench, and learning that only reinforces Percy's wish to save his mom. On the bus, everything goes smoothly until 3 familiar old women get on the bus. The Furies, who Percy almost sneaks away from using Annabeth's Athena-gifted invisibility cap, until he sees them preparing to attack Grover and Annabeth. Percy takes the wheel, swerves the bus, and vanquishes 2 of the Furies with Riptide, while Annabeth restrains and Grover disarms the Mrs. Dodds Fury, until a shock of thunder gives warning to the 3 of them to jump out, and after they do, a bolt of lightning hits the bus, but Mrs. Dodds survives. Chapter 11. We visit the Garden Gnome Emporium. Walking along the New Jersey riverbank, the team lament their equipment losses. Percy commiserates with Annabeth about her feelings on living at Camp Half-Blood since she was 7. The team are lured by the smell of greasy food into a place called Auntie M's Garden Gnome Emporium, despite Grover saying that he smells monsters, and they're taken in through all the life-size cement statues to have a meal with the proprietor, an old lady wearing a headdress called Auntie M. After a series of increasingly obvious hints, the team realize, once she starts taking off her headdress, that Auntie M is Medusa, who tells them about how her boyfriend, Poseidon, broke into a temple of Athena with her, and Athena cursed her and her sisters. While Grover uses the Hermes sandals to distract Medusa, Percy executes an Annabeth plan, using a glass ball to be able to see while he gets close and cuts off Medusa's head, but not before she can warn him that he's just acting as a pawn of the gods. Annabeth lets Percy know the head doesn't get vaporized because it's the spoil of war, and it can still petrify. They have a spat about whose parents' fault it was that Medusa exists, and Percy uses a Hermes packing slip in Medusa's office to send the head to Olympus. And now, Chapter 12. We get advice from a poodle. While they're camping in the woods, Grover and Percy lament the poor condition of the environment, and Grover tells Percy he's trying to get a searcher's license to find the lost god Pan, who disappeared around the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Percy also learns that Grover was probably Annabeth's keeper when she came to camp 5 years ago, and then they talk about the peculiarities of the quest. The monsters sent from Hades seem to be trying to find the Master Bolt too, despite Hades presumably having it. Grover also clocks that Percy is probably questing to impress his dad. Percy has a dream about a frightening voice from in a pit, bargaining with him for his mother's life in exchange for helping the voice rise and strike back against the gods. Fortunately, Percy wakes up and sees that Grover has found a lost poodle. The team will claim the reward for it and use it for the Amtrak. What'd you think of these chapters?
I really like them.
Yeah?
As always, they've all been really strong so far.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have like a strong opinion? Right off, do you have like one strong opinion you want to say?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I really like the.
Okay, be quiet.
You got me.
Okay,
My
I want to tell
opinions have been
everyone.
silenced.
I've canceled you. I want to tell everyone that I beat Hades finally this week. I finally beat Hades after like 50 something runs, and I feel so proud of myself.
You should be proud.
Thank you. Okay, go on with your strong opinions.
My strong opinion is I think you'll find it relatable given how frustrating you've been finding Hades. I really like that Rick is not shying away from what absolute pricks the Greek gods were.
God, yeah. We should talk about like some of that stuff because there was a whole chapter with Medusa.
The show was.
And last week I cut out a bit of us just talking about like Perseus and the myth of Medusa and like her origins.
Mm-hmm.
And I cut that out because I was like, that's not going to be necessary in the future. But the thing is, we get this whole chapter, and Medusa says that Annabeth's mom caught her in the temple with her boyfriend Poseidon, and made her into a Medusa, into a Gorgon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem is, this isn't a problem because this is a book for children.
Yeah,
but I guess I would encourage you to like look up the actual origins of Medusa because Poseidon was not her boyfriend. And
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We get a lot about here about like how the Greek gods are just total jerks.
I think it's a change that you have to make if you're putting, because Medusa's really recognizable. You want to put her in your Greek storybook for children.
Absolutely.
But you do need to chop and change a few things to make it kid appropriate. And I think, to Rick's credit, he's at least chopped and changed it in such a way that it builds on the image we're getting of Poseidon, where he is a dick.
Yeah, and same with Zeus. Like,
yeah.
Zeus and Poseidon got in an argument at a meeting and were like decided to destroy all of humanity if like they didn't get over their respective temper tantrums.
That really is what happened.
Yeah, like, and it's pretty good actually because during the Pinocchio game, there's this whole surrounding atmosphere of like it's stormy at Camp Half-Blood,
mm-hmm.
which doesn't happen, and like we get the sense that Zeus would just like blast Percy immediately if he didn't think there would be like consequences.
Oh, absolutely.
It's very screwed up, feeling like both the sky and the earth are dangerous for you.
Yeah. Speaking of the sky, I have a theory about this book that I wanted to discuss with you.
Go ahead.
Which is that, right off the bat, I am pointing my finger at Luke as the potential traitor.
Why do you think Luke is the traitor?
Okay, so I don't remember him from the later books, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's very handsome. He's a mentor figure. It would be really devastating if he betrayed them.
True.
He also knows what the different gods do, and how like the sky is Zeus's domain, and how Zeus is trying to kill Percy. And then he handed Percy a pair of flying sneakers.
You're not wrong.
He's either just dumb, or that was a very clever assassination attempt.
That's hilarious. Oh god. Speaking of like the Camp Half-Blood kids,
yeah,
there's a lot of good characterization for Annabeth in these chapters.
Yeah,
we learned that. Go ahead.
No, sorry, you go. My thing is dumb and bad.
Do your dumb thing first.
My dumb and bad thing is that it feels a bit like Rick's trying to make her into a Hermione figure.
I don't like that, and I disagree. So go on.
I'm just the stuff about her, like she's got the book to read when she gets bored, and that's basically all the evidence I have. And she's also smart.
You are a pure heart. To me, these chapters showed that Annabeth was like put a lot of self. I want to say that I don't disagree with you. She is a little bit of a Hermione. Mm-hmm. This is a post Harry Potter work.
Yeah.
We get the sense that she places a lot of of her self-worth on being like a traditional Greek hero.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's a daughter of Athena, who's like a war goddess or like a strategy battle goddess, and like she's all about like questing, fighting, killing monsters. That's like what's important to her. Mm-hmm. Which one is kind of cool for like a. Go on.
Okay, I was just gonna say it fits with her backstory that she's like that, because we know that she's been in Camp Half-Blood most of her life.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that has to, I guess, change how you think about things.
Yeah.
Especially since we get a vague sense that like we don't quite know how her like home life is. We don't really, it's interesting. We don't know yet. Makes you curious about it.
Yeah.
I really liked, I like that she is like a character, like a developed character like this. She's probably the most interesting character to me so far. How come Chiron's always in his fake wheelchair?
Because it's really embarrassing to just piss on the ground wherever you go, so he's pissing in the box.
Yeah. I guess your theory is getting more and more likely. Unfortunately.
Nobody is more concerned about that than me, trust me.
Oh, God. Mr. D rules.
I love him. He's so funny.
He like threatens Percy, like, if you're not out of here, I am going to turn you into a dolphin.
It's such a good threat as well.
Is it a threat even? I would love to be a dolphin.
Percy does not sound as if he would love to be a dolphin. Is the thing.
That's his own problem.
But that's what makes it a punishment.
Yeah, I guess so. We got some good Grover moments in these chapters too.
Grover is a good boy.
Grover's a good boy. I have a better picture of who he is now.
Yeah.
Like he feels he cares a lot about like finding Pan, which like all of his family have tried to do. And everybody who's ever tried to has died, but he still wants to.
Yeah.
He also gets some really cool moments of like fighting Medusa.
Yeah,
the
mental image of a goat boy flying around with his eyes shut and hitting a snake lady with a piece of wood is just inherently very funny.
And he just goes right in for it. He's so cool. Oh God, yeah. Is this racist? Is this depiction of Medusa racist at all?
It's a little bit. I've underlined some stuff where I was like, you didn't need to do that. You didn't need to say these things.
Because like I can understand a basic like idea of like she's wearing a head covering to like
sorry, it just I didn't think about it a lot. I just thought, oh, it's a bit weird how he's just describing her as Middle Eastern. it just struck me that like, oh, she's made herself sound like that so that she can wear niqab, I think is what that one is, to hide her snake heads.
Are you saying she's doing an accent? Are you listening to
She
the audiobook?
no, she does. It specifically says her accent sounded vaguely Middle Eastern.
Wait, really?
No, that's I'm quoting it exactly.
Oh my god.
It's a little sus.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
I was just like, Percy's talking a lot about like what she's wearing. I that's interesting. I guess
this.
talking about like weird on the border of like racist stuff. Let's talk
Oh.
about the age of the West.
Uh,
Tell us about the age of the West, Jane.
um, Chiron has a YouTube channel called Defend Europa, where he talks
Christ.
extensively about immigration and the Great
I
Replacement.
I hate that so much. So we the last set of chapters we learned about just like the concept of the heart of the West, and we basically came down on the side that like that was fine. You know, it's presented as like a
That was
neutral
not
concept.
as much of a Nazi dog whistle at the time.
Yeah, but now it's like Chiron talks about how like back when the Titans were around, that was the age of gold, and then and right now we live in the age of the West, which is like that's horrifying to me. Like that this is being presented as like the defining feature of the world for like this like epoch or whatever.
I've got in one hand my copy of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, and in my other hand a copy of Heart of Darkness. And I bet
Yeah.
if I read any excerpt from Heart of Darkness and then a Chiron bit, you wouldn't be able to tell which was which.
God. Jesus Christ. What about that Fury's attack, huh?
That was there. Let's escape from this. That was a cool, fun action scene that I liked a lot. We got
I agree.
more fun and creative use of an invisibility piece of clothing in those few pages than we got in 7 fucking books of Harry Potter.
You're right, but I plus a bus is such a cool setting for like you can do so much with like the you know what a bus looks like. Everyone kind of
Yeah,
knows what a bus looks like.
yeah. Speaking of that scene, I do actually want to briefly address something.
Yeah.
The first bus driver we meet in this book is an absolute
Yes.
Chad.
Yeah.
Like, he is getting out of the bus when it breaks, he's smacking the engine with a wrench. He has a cool
Mm-hmm.
one-liner when it's fixed.
Yeah.
Like, I love him. He's my favorite character. This bus driver was, quote, the first one out
This
after
is
it
the Virgin bus
crashes.
driver.
This is the Virgin bus driver, who flees at the first sign of trouble and leaves the passengers in with presumably what they see is just a weird old lady hitting some children.
You know that like the first bus driver would have like gone in to fight with them.
He would have smacked Miss Dodds around the head with the wrench.
Absolutely. I do wonder what the mortals are seeing in that scene
I think
because like
it has to just be like Mrs. Dodds smacking them with a walking stick. Or like maybe she has like a sword cane.
I was thinking that like because like when all of the Furies go up and surround Grover and Annabeth and all the people on the bus start screaming, I was imagining like three old ladies walk up to these two kids on the bus and simultaneously all pull out guns and point it at them. Like that's what that I have to imagine that's what they
that
saw because that's I would scream too.
Yeah, that's like the only thing I could think of that would elicit that kind of reaction from a bus full of people.
Absolutely. A bus full of people is like barely alive. So making them react to something is very impressive.
Like, yeah, because if they were just like shouting at the kids and hitting them with walking sticks, they would either be ignoring it or going, "Hey, come on, stop that." They have to.
Yeah,
They have to have seen them like pulling out Uzis or something.
absolutely. They're like, oh, maybe I'll be hurt by this. Oh, God. There's a lot of just like good. good like team bonding stuff in this and like small character moments.
I love how Percy and Annabeth's relationship is being developed in these chapters.
Yeah, same, because they're just like friendly rivals, I guess.
Yeah, like they are not best friends. They clearly have like some issues with one another, but it doesn't come through like they it doesn't come through as them like hating each other. It comes through as them just like acting friendly and being a bit snippy at each other when the stuff that they disagree on comes up. And that's just
Yeah,
it's it's just like, nicely believably written. That's how real people act. And B, it's way less annoying than the other way of doing that, which is how most children's fiction does it.
yeah, which is either like they completely hate each other and are opposed to each other all the time and they won't cooperate at all. Or else it's like they are completely like in sync.
Exactly.
This has a nice median, I guess.
Yeah.
Plus, like, you get so many good Percy moments in there. Like, you really feel for him because he just lost his mom. He finally found a place he could stay, and then he immediately becomes isolated in Poseidon cabin.
Yeah, that bit really, like, you feel like shit for him.
Yeah, this poor kid.
Because it is, I know the book makes it fairly explicit, but it makes so much sense that this is the kind of thing that would just send him crashing into the dumpster, emotions wise.
Absolutely. And there's this moment later on where Percy is like thinking about Poseidon, and he's like, why did he never send us like child support?
Yeah, like, I know that you can't exactly. Like, I'm sure that you can't just make out a check for 500 drachma, but if you send him a lump of gold, that will probably help.
Yeah, or like surely the riches of the sea are like bountiful.
Yeah.
And surely Poseidon can extract some cash from like a really rare puffer fish or something.
I don't. Maybe mailing someone a puffer fish would be like a bad idea. That might poison them.
He'll cash it first.
This is a good segue into I my thesis for this chapter is that mailing someone Medusa's head is like mailing them a live hand grenade and not telling them what's in the package.
You're right, because like someone I don't know, like who's like a minor Greek god? Like I don't
Uh,
know. Eros or something is gonna open
yeah.
it up and it's gonna be like, hey boss, Aphrodite, we got a package over here. And like look at the head and like open it up and like accidentally look into these eyes and then like the concept of like sexual desire will be lost because Eris is frozen in stone.
Like, he doesn't label it.
No.
It's just an unmarked package.
Grover is like, Percy, they're gonna think you're impertinent. And Percy's like, I am impertinent. Hell
I
yeah, Percy.
I am impertinent. I'm just low-key trying to kill Zeus.
Honestly, that would solve it.
It would. Like, holy shit, maybe that's what he's doing.
Percy is like the pragmatist of the group. He's like, well, it's a difficult situation here. It's gonna be hard to do. Let's kill Zeus.
Because if he kills Zeus, then well, no, Zeus isn't going to kill him. If he kills Poseidon, he proves that he wasn't working for him. So like, it's win-win.
It is. And if he kills like Hephaestus or something, then they'll be like, oh, he's Kratos now. And we'll get to see Kratos Percy. There's a very funny moment. There's a hashtag Rick funny moment in here.
Oh.
When Chiron tells Percy, read the Iliad, it's full of references to the mist. Which is like it's like taking a concept from a work, claiming you've invented it, and then being like, hey, look at that, they're referencing my thing.
This actually, okay, this is a ballsy move, and it's also made in another one of my like favorite pieces of kids literature from this time,
Yeah.
which is Skullduggery Pleasant, where the book is based around like these ancient evil gods called the Faceless Ones, and a character just drops at some point during the book. Oh yeah, H.P. Lovecraft was so mad that he like saw glimpses of the Faceless Ones, so he wrote books about them. So really, when you think about it, H.P. Lovecraft was referencing me.
That's so good.
I love
H.P.
it.
Lovecraft was so racist that he thought of a person of color and immediately just went red with rage and passed out and saw into the other world. Chiron's... I mean, I know we're talking trash on Chiron. He's pretty good in these chapters.
Listen, a lot of this is unfortunate implications that we're drawing out. As a character, he's fine.
Yeah, like he's like a really nice surrogate dad to Percy.
Yeah. The sword is the best present you could give anyone ever. Like the idea that
if someone gave me a pin that turned into a sword, I would cry.
If someone gave me any object that I physically couldn't lose, I would cry.
Yeah, that's like the best superpower. It's not like, oh, it can kill monsters. It's like, oh, it can't be lost.
Like, cool. This can of lemonade will always come back to me, no matter what I do with it.
God, yeah. And it's constantly full, and it's whatever flavor lemonade you want to be.
This just now sounds like a gift from Dionysus.
I wish Dionysus was my dad. It's described that there are like 2 different Camp Half-Blood Dionysus kids, like twins.
Yeah.
And I bet they're just living the best life.
I think those kids have been drinking since they were about 5.
That's fine, though. They can handle it.
I mean, they have to live with Dionysus, who, like, is a funny character and I love him, but I imagine cannot be tolerable for extended periods of time.
No. How do you think Dionysus sired those kids? Like, did he leave the camp and, like... Did he, like, go out and, like, just, like, romance a lady? This Dionysus? I guess I can see it.
It might have been one of the forest nymphs.
Oh, it could have been one of the forest nymphs. That's true. The Oracle of Delphi.
Terrifying.
Primo goosebump shit.
Genuinely, like, freaky as shit design.
And the way the prophecy happens is so, like, chilling.
Yeah.
But also, like, the vision is summoned, and it's, like, Gabe and his friends are on the poker table, and they're all telling Percy, like, this horrifying prophecy. It's really good.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of that really good prophecy reading from Hercules.
The Disney movie?
Yeah, Disney movie.
I'm afraid I haven't seen that, which feels like it should be essential research for this.
That'll be a bonus episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really chilling prophecy. I love like how it like you can hear it in your mind. It's like a it's good. It's good.
It's really good.
Grover's a Hilary Duff fan.
I don't know who that is. I should check. Did that get changed in the localized version to like Queen or something?
If they changed the Grover can only play Hilary Duff on his reed pipes to like Grover can only play Don't Stop Me Now on his reed pipes, that'd be hilarious.
Screams.
What?
No, I can't find it. I'm burning valuable minutes.
That's terrible. Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's say, for the sake of comedy, that he can only play Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles.
That's right. Oh, that's horrifying. Speaking of horrifying.
Okay.
So Luke gives Percy the sandals.
Yeah.
And then Percy's like, they even smell like normal sandals.
Wait, what? What? Excuse me?
Percy says, Luke gives Percy the sandals. Percy's like, they look like normal sandals. They even smell like normal sandals. Why did he smell them?
No, they even smelled kind of... What the fuck?
Rick, why are you doing this to us?
Rick.
They really are circus children.
That That made me laugh. That weird, incredibly stupid lie that Percy came up with.
Yeah, and you know that like Medusa didn't buy a word of it. She
Oh,
obviously knew
absolutely
who they were.
not.
There wasn't like a moment where she was like, "What if they really are circus kids? I've got to take them in so they can have my greasy fast food that I make at my curio shop." How long has she been running it?
That's, I mean, long enough for them to build a new highway next to it.
That's true. Unless she like assumed some mortal's identity, but that seems far-fetched.
A little bit. I mean, long enough to, unless she takes all the statues with her when she moves, long enough to have killed Grover's uncle, who presumably did not get very far from Camp Half-Blood in his search for Pan.
Maybe he lived in like Fresno or something. Oh God.
Speaking of this section,
Yeah.
how did you find like the writing about Percy feeling like sleepy and drowsy from all the food?
I thought it was like I thought it struck me in a way. I was like, this is relatable. I have felt this way about fast food before.
Okay, good, because I was reading these chapters at like 2 a.m. and I was like,
Yeah.
is this writing really effective or am I just tired?
I think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Like it made me be like, I want tater tots. I want just a large box of tater tots. And Annabeth like drinks like a large vanilla milkshake, and I'm like, come on, that's not fair. Rick can't write that in there.
Oh,
What do you think about the?
I know
What
he
do you
was.
think about the pan stuff? Go on, go on, go on.
You said in your summary that it was after a series of increasingly obvious hints that they figure out it's Medusa. And
Yeah.
while you are absolutely right, I do think that this like carries on something this book has been very good at, which is making like a kid with a fairly like low level knowledge of Greek mythology feel smart.
Yeah, like you can piece it together from like if you are a small child, you will probably figure out that Auntie M is Medusa pretty quick, or at least a monster.
Oh, I mean, the writing is on the wall about that from the start.
Yeah, because Grover's like, I smell a monster, and Percy and Annabeth are like, who cares? We want food. And I love that it's not like just Percy being like, oh, I'm a boy and I want food. They're both like they are both in the food trance.
Like, we can't eat tin cans, Grover.
Those poor half-blood children. Stretch, stretch, stretch.
I've written M for Medusa in this book, and I feel like an idiot.
M for Medusa, as in like
the exact thing that Percy says like 3 pages later. I thought I was being clever.
you thought I don't want to rag on you.
No, it's
but you thought
I am the idiot child with the surface level knowledge of Greek mythology. That's the twist here.
I understand. I had pretty recently seen the original cover of this book, which features Medusa's face on it.
Oh.
So I was a bit more quick to recall.
God, the cover for The Lightning Thief is so much better than the cover for Percy Jackson and The Lightning Thief.
Yeah, like, I don't know who this weird British boy is on your book.
He looks like he's taking a shit, frankly.
Yeah.
Also, the lightning bolt is not even bronze.
God, yeah. And the cover for like just the Lightning Thief Classic is like so like moody and like well drawn as like a composition.
It really is.
It just looks good.
Just God. It's so much better.
Yeah.
Fuck you, J.K. Rowling, for a number of reasons, but also getting the localized copy of this book to look like such trash.
Absolutely. We can also talk about. Okay, so I think that like speaking of like 10 minutes ago, speaking of like little narrative tricks that Mr. Riordan does, he establishes in these chapters that Chiron has a like a secret prophecy just for himself.
Yeah. Special prophecy,
Which,
just for
like,
horses.
that basically is like a get out of, like, a do whatever you want with the plot free tool. It's very useful. Like, you reveal a very small bit of information and later on be like, see, it was all built up to because Chiron had the secret prophecy.
It's definitely
And
Chekhov's prophecy.
absolutely. And it's good though. It's good.
Yeah. No,
There's a
it's a skillful
line.
little bit of writing.
Yeah, there's a line where Chiron asks Percy, he's like, now Percy, think, which god would benefit from a war between Poseidon and Zeus? My dumb ass immediately thought like, oh, Ares, the war god.
I mean, that's not wrong. He would probably enjoy that quite a lot.
Yeah, but like, I guess it makes sense that he was talking about Hades from like a perspective of whatever.
Yeah, from like
But
the big three stuff that has been established and repeatedly hammered into our heads throughout this book.
yeah, the big three. But I was, um, I would actually be surprised if Ares doesn't come up at some point in this book.
I mean, hasn't? Oh, you mean like the actual dude?
Yeah, like if Ares isn't like a minor antagonist or something.
Yeah, that feels like it would make sense. I mean,
Yeah.
from what I remember about this book, there's like the bit where they go to the casino, which doesn't seem very Ares, and then after that they just get to
No,
Hades.
I think that's right.
Well, that could just be like my very vague memory of the movie.
Yeah, we're like halfway through the book at this point.
Yeah,
So, which is first of all, heck yeah, good on us
we did
for doing a podcast for that long.
it.
But the only podcast I've ever recorded have gone up to like one episode at most.
This is the only podcast I've ever recorded.
You're doing very, very well for your first time.
Thank you. You are also doing very well for someone who is more experienced.
Thank you. I like to think I'm talented.
You are.
The camps. So when Percy is talking about like the equipment they have as they're leaving the camp, did you catch that he says that the camp store lent Percy $100?
Yeah, sure did.
Like,
On campus loan sharks.
does he have to give it back? Does are they gonna? Is there gonna be interest?
No, he actually has to work
Oh,
on the strawberry farms to pay it back. It's a horrible little child labor racket they've got going on.
oh God, it's like there actually aren't any gods or anything like that. This is just like a really elaborate performance to get them to work in the strawberry fields.
That might be the twist at the end of book 5.
That it might very well be. And then like who even knows what the next series is about?
Christ, yeah.
So,
I'd like
what did you
to.
think?
Sorry,
You'd like to go
I'd
on?
like to just very quickly go to a word from this week's sponsor.
Yeah.
So as Chiron mentions in these chapters, cell phones are traceable by monsters, and if you use one, it's worse than sending up a flare. But if you install Surfshark VPN today, you'll be protected from all underworld monsters.
Oh God.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to do that bit. You go.
Use Grecian VPN for.
God, Percy
Oh
would use
jeez.
Surfshark as well.
I've never heard of Surfshark, but I have to assume it's like NordVPN.
It's exactly the same, but it has an aquatic creature in the name, and is
Hmm.
therefore more
Oh, you're right.
appropriate.
You're right. What do you think about the pan stuff?
It's a really interesting bit of like world building and lore for the satyrs. Like it makes them not just it makes them have a purpose beyond just their function in the story, which is really nice.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect like the satyrs of all people to be like have like an interestingly developed like world, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Wait, we wouldn't? Why?
And it's a I don't know, it's because like they're the funny little guys from the myths.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, they're like I would assume we would get like a lot of building on like the world of like the Half-Bloods and like, but it makes sense because like Pan is obviously a Greek god related to Satyr. It makes sense. It's just not what you might immediately expect, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's like a nice surprise. Uh, let's wrap it up.
Should we very quickly do our Percy Jackson trans segment and then just that's it, we're done?
Yeah, we are speedrunning this today, folks.
Okay, which is unfortunate because we actually have something today.
What's that?
Well, it's not exactly Percy Jackson trans, but I would argue it is undeniable Percy Jackson is not cishet.
Go on.
I didn't know what to say. It was cool enough that Luke had come to say goodbye.
Yes!
I've been afraid he might resent me for getting so much attention in the last few days. But here he was giving me a magic gift. It made me blush almost as much as Annabeth.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I forgot. Like, buy Percy real?
By Percy real, I guess, which, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, Percy, live your truth. I love you.
It's Greek mythology. This is just the correct way to write it.
That's absolutely true. Um, okay. My Percy Jackson not cis hat moment of the week is at one point Percy says, "It's nice to know there are Greek gods out there, so you have someone to blame when really bad stuff happens." Paraphrased.
Yeah,
We love to rage against the gods here.
obviously.
That is a trans moment.
I know a trans girl who regularly talks about her desire to kill and eat God.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll probably wrap it up here, folks.
I mean, this has turned out remarkably well, I think, given the disastrous technical issues that keep happening on my end.
Yeah, like my earbuds died, your mic was messed up. It's a lot. But thank you everyone for listening.
If you have any questions or comments that you want us to potentially read out on the show, you can either tweet us at Unwise Girls or email us at unwisegirlspod@gmail.com.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Swamp Duchess. You can find Jane in a dog store looking at the poodles.
I won't buy them from there. You should get rescues, but they're good to just kind of look at and admire because they're very good and cute.
That's absolutely true. And as we always say,
see you next week, Camp Half-Bloods.
See you next week, Camp Half-Blood.